My name's Katharine Coleman. I've been a glass engraver for 35 years at least. I started as a hobbyist going to evening classes. It was through that grounding that I started doing conventional glass engraving on clear glass, on commercial glass. But what I really loved doing was making glass that had colour overlay on it so that I could cut through layers of colour to make an interesting design. There are things that you can do with glass that you can't do with any other material. Glass seems like water and air, so things that fly, birds, fish, I've done a lot of fish. But on the other hand, architecture has fascinated me because glass is used a lot in modern architecture. And because it's transparent and you're looking through windows, you get these illusions of looking through one window into another, into the next. I've always used museums. Their collections are a wonderful source of inspiration. I've always been interested to see how other generations have interpreted design on glass. The Roman, the Victorian, the Edwardian, and the V&A collection is a superb study collection for that very good reason. I always keep these little books in my bag with me wherever I go. When I'm getting ideas together, I have to think of a group of work that would look well together. So I spend some time having doodles in my little notebook, designing a whole body of work, and then I will do careful drawings, pencil drawings, so that I understand how, for instance, a Gingko leaf works, until I've got the feel of it. A glass blank is a term for the glass when it's been blown, but it hasn't been engraved yet. So a piece, for instance, like this, is what I would call a glass blank. It looks as if it's solid green glass. If it was solid green glass, it would look black, like a Marmite pot. This is clear lead crystal with less than 1 millimetre of green glass lying on the outside surface. I have my glass blanks blown for me by a glass blower who's particularly skilled at doing colour overlay. Loads of people say they can do overlay, but very few can do overlay fine enough for my uses. It's immensely skillful. When I'm setting up a piece, I'll draw the whole design on the glass so that I can see how it's going to work, not only round the piece, but inside the piece. And so I work round it, drawing on, rubbing away, adjusting until I'm satisfied with the design. Once you've got the design exactly where you want it, you can fix it on using a drill. I've got a little micromotor drill with a little diamond covered tip. I cut away the background using sintered diamond wheels with a water drop on my lathe, quickly stripping it away. It's a phosphor bronze compound with diamonds set in it. It's quick and efficient. Problem with it is it's a bit expensive and it produces a rather rougher surface even with a fine diamond. Wheel engraving isn't used widely in Britain anymore. I should think there are about 10 practitioners maximum now. The people left who can do copper wheel engraving, which is the finest technique of the lot, there are about 5 of us maximum left in the country. It's becoming a dying craft in Britain, but it's still highly prized because there's a certain sort of engraving that is very handsome when it's done with a wheel that you can't imitate so easily with the drill. This is what a copper wheel looks like. It's not the copper that does the cutting. Copper's a soft metal, and that's the secret of its success. If you put a grit and oil paste on it, it's the grit and oil stick sufficiently to the copper long enough to cut the glass. It's a form of technology that goes back to Babylonian times. Even the pyramids were cut with copper saws with grit and oil, and it's amazing what you can cut with copper. I work as hard as I can, which is usually about a 10 to 12 hour day sometimes, if I'm under pressure for an exhibition. I love doing it still. I'm making work for exhibition and for my own pleasure. I'm wanting everyone to forget that there's glass there, so they get this illusion of one body or object floating inside another.